Hey Scorpio, this is your look at the astrology of June 2021. My name is Katie Sweetman, and this is Empowering Astrology. So let's take a look at this month, Scorpio. I think the main driver this month is the fact that your planet, Mars, is wrapping up its time in Cancer. Now, there's a couple of things to keep in mind. One, Cancer is this very emotional, nostalgic sign. It's about the past, about family connection, emotional connection, feeling safe. So maybe these are themes that you've been thinking about over the last 5 weeks, wondering if you do feel safe, who is your family, things about the past, for example. But Cancer is also what's called your ninth sign, and it's your Mars is starting to arc towards a part in your chart where you're getting into that last stretch of your personal zodiac calendar. So you are now wrapping up time in a part of the chart that talks about your faith, your truth, your wisdom, your knowledge, your philosophy. This is a time for you to really stand behind your convictions or to get clear about what your convictions are. And since it's Cancer, maybe you're very passionate about what you believe and your heart is in it. But there is going to be a rather intense opposition between Mars and Pluto as you start the month. This opposition will be on June 5th. And it's picking up on something where Pluto is at the other end of the opposition. And Pluto is and actually has been in the part of your chart since 2008. And this is sort of like connecting back to something that's been unfolding over the last decade, which is about you finding the power of your voice. If you need to get up and say what you believe in and just have it come from a place of truth, like inner truth, be yourself, Scorpio. But I think that you've had to do a lot of deep and powerful work to be heard over the last decade. And I think that when Mars is opposite Pluto as you start the month, it's this next step in this really long alchemy of you finding your voice and you sharing your voice with the world. But this is an intense aspect. Mars is opposite Pluto. I do, just sidebar, I use traditional rulers in my astrology. Pluto is your modern ruler. That's a whole other conversation. But if you're thinking like, oh, Mars opposite Pluto, those are our planets, but still a dynamic opposition. And it's really sort of talking to some of the bigger changes that are happening this year for you, actually. But not to get too ahead of myself, it is also eclipse season. So life is shifting and changing, and we also are going to have a dynamic square between Saturn and Uranus this month as well, which is showing you that your life, the sort of the shape and the pieces of your life are moving in a different direction. But let's start with the top of the month. We have Venus going into Cancer on June 2nd. Cancer, as I said earlier, is your sign of faith and truth and meaning and convictions. And Venus is like, all right, if you've got something to say, like, you can say it in a nice way. It doesn't have to be a jerky way. Venus is always thinking about other people's feelings, how to find that commonality between other people. So maybe it's a good time for you to talk about what you believe in and to do it in a way that helps people to see your point of view. Because Venus is about consensus building and coalition building. That said, Venus is your relationship planet, and it's in this very nostalgic sign of Cancer. It's also playing off some bigger changes that you're seeing in relationships right now. So maybe that Venus in Cancer is shifting and changing things up. As I said a few moments ago, Mars is opposite Pluto. That's on June 5th. And then, Mars will go into Leo on June 11th. So there will be a shift towards career. Leo is your career sign. And you're going to spend the next 5-6 weeks going into, I guess, the beginning of August, really focusing on your professional life. Mars loves to go out and get what it wants, especially in this part of the chart. It feels a lot of motivation and drive. So even though it's at least the summer here in the northern hemisphere, I know it's winter in the southern hemisphere, you're feeling a lot of drive to focus on your professional life, to take on more responsibilities, to get very clear and sharp with your ambitions. But before that, there will be a Gemini solar eclipse on June 10th. And this one will be, as I said, in Gemini. Now, Gemini is your 8th sign. The 8th sign, you are the 8th sign Scorpio, so there's a little bit of some connection here. Gemini talks about the duality of life. This is why Gemini and Scorpio actually have more in common than we realize. Gemini says that life is light and dark, shadows and light. And any Scorpio worth their salt knows that you have this inherent duality in creation. We all have to find the balance between our dualistic nature and not to tip too far, either side. Scorpio likes to keep it real, of course, but this new moon is saying that over the coming 6 months, you're looking at your psyche, you're looking at the shadow and light within you and looking at what takes you out of balance. What emotions are you not owning, anything from the past, anything that's kind of deep, again, in your shadow. But this does bring up themes around intimacy, vulnerability, am I safe, can I trust, even sexuality. But it also talks about money and finance, because that part of your chart, your 8th sign, is a money sign for you. And Scorpio, you are a money sign. So this is a season for you to focus on your money, getting your getting your money area in check. The full moon that was on May 26th that put the spotlight in your income, like how you earn a living, even how you spend your money, what you value enough to put your money on. But maybe you're using this time, the solar eclipse, and then the weeks and months after, to check in with a financial advisor to get your accounts tip top. Scorpio in general likes to have its money game pretty tight. So if it's not tight, use the renewal of this solar eclipse to kind of get organized and to get focused on what you need to get focused on right now, Scorpio. As I said earlier, Mars goes into Leo on June 11th. That's going to point you towards career, direction, ambitions as you go into beginning of August. And then on June 14th, we have that Saturn-Uranus square that I've been talking about. In 2021, it's as if the 4 directions of your life, or at least the major ones, are going in different directions. Maybe you're so used to everything being here and there, and because you're Scorpio, you want to be in control of everything. I'm so sorry, Scorpio, because the things that you want to be in control of, maybe you're not so in control of right now. And maybe you are moving. Maybe you are seeing changes in career. Maybe if you're single, you're meeting somebody. Maybe if you are in a partnership, you and your partner have to do things differently. Maybe there's a change in the home. Somebody's moving in, somebody's moving out. But there is a need to sort of resolve tension between relationships and home environment. This is going to manifest, of course, in different ways for different people, but it does mean, Scorpio, especially with Mars up at the top of your chart, because it will ping off of all this as you go into July. A lot of things are changing right now. It's not the eclipses, it's really Saturn square Uranus, and we're going to have points throughout 2021 where you're really feeling this tight push and pull between 2 corners of your life. One is June 14th. I would say even going into the start of July is another, going into August, then again in October, then in November, then in December. And the idea is that as you get to, let's say, March of 2022, things are going to look very different. Things have to look different. Scorpio, you are the sign of change and transformation. My joke is that it's actually a lie, because you don't want change and transformation, or you do only when it's on your own terms. But that's 2021 is just reminding you, Scorpio, that even you are not in control over everything. And I think that there is some sort of story about surrender, especially in that solar eclipse on June 10th, because it's making something called a square to Neptune. Scorpio, sometimes things need to die. Things need to end. I wouldn't say that to any other sign, but I can say it to you, Scorpio, because you know exactly what I mean. Things need to die. Things need to end. In order for something new to come in, there has to be space. If you want that new job, if you want that new relationship, if you want whatever, how are you going to make space for it? Well, you can't do it if you're holding on to things, Scorpio. So really, maybe that's where you're feeling the push and the pull this month. The other thing that's happening is Jupiter turns retrograde on June 20th. That's happening in Pisces, and Pisces is your sign of creativity, it's children, it's self-expression, it's really getting in touch with the essence of who you are. This is a preview of a time where, because Jupiter will turns retrograde, and then it leaves Pisces at the end of July, spending the rest of the year back in Aquarius, so go back to Pisces at the end of 2021 on December 28th. But I think that this is to see what's coming in your life. I think that this, Jupiter is right at home in Pisces. There is an inherent benevolence to Jupiter. I don't like to overpromise Jupiter because there are two sides to every planet, but Jupiter might make you feel more yourself right now, or maybe you're seeing new things come in, and maybe you've been seeing a lot of actually some silver linings and everything over the last month. And then we get to the Capricorn full moon on June 24th. Capricorn for you is your sign of voice and communication. Remember what I was saying earlier, you are a decade into, well, a decade plus, actually it's 13 years if we're getting specific, 13 years into a 16-year story of completely gut level transforming your voice. So this full moon, although it's at the beginning of Cancer and Pluto is at the end of, it's at the beginning of Capricorn and Pluto is at the end of Capricorn, really sort of see what threads, what dots get connected, because you need to be heard. And maybe you haven't been using your voice, or maybe it's time to use the voice that you've been honing and shaping and building and tearing down and rebuilding since 2008. And maybe with Saturn over in Aquarius, you have to speak from the heart. You have to be intimate. You have to reveal something. You have to be open. I know, yes, you, Scorpio, be open. Neptune will turn retrograde on June 25th. Retrograde, you're thinking, oh, these retrogrades. Well, that's most of the planets are retrograde, 5 months of the year. So that's pretty common. But a retrograde is a change in state. It's no longer active. It's receptive. So Neptune is in your sign of self-expression, creativity, you, the essence of who you are. You've had to really change and open up who you are since 2012. That's when Neptune went into Pisces. But maybe this is a time when you're letting your guard down and being more yourself and forgiving the past and finding your own compassion and letting go, Scorpio. Yeah, you let go. Venus will join Mars on June 27th. It goes into Leo, and Mars will be in Leo. So this is sort of, giving you some boost, giving you a little preview, because when we get to July and the sun goes into Leo, things are going to change. But yeah, I think that with both Venus in Leo with Mars, it's like now your career wants to shift. You're already seeing relationships shift. You're already seeing home and family and your living situation shift. And now that's the other piece as you go into July. In fact, there's going to be Mars opposite Saturn on July 1st, sort of giving you a little bit of preview of July's astrology. And Mars opposite Saturn, you sort of get to this like big check-in with Saturn. Either it's working or it's not working. Either you aren't on the mark or you are, and you're going to get some feedback from Saturn. But because Mars is your planet, be ready to take the next step up. Be true to yourself, be diligent, do your work, be honorable. I think that there's a sense of needing to stand up for something, or sort of have that inner compass with Saturn, and really be ready to take a step up as you go into July, because life sometimes needs to upgrade. So there you go. That is your look at June of 2021. My name is Katie Sweetman. Thank you for joining me. You can follow me online at empoweringastrology.com. I'm an astrologer and psychic medium here in New York City, and I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook. You can also subscribe to this YouTube channel. I have a newsletter. Book a consultation with me. So until next month, take care, Scorpio. Bye.